Welcome back, everybody. It's your boy Ray Garvin, joined by my man Kyle Krabs here for another film breakdown. As the NFL season transitions to an end, it is time for us to do what we do best, and that is the draft. And we've got a treat for you today. We are going to talk some quarterback. Will Levis out of Kentucky on the season. Will Levis finished up his Kentucky career this past season with 2,400 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and a QBR of 60. This is coming off of his first campaign at Kentucky where he had 2,800 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. Kyle, quick thoughts and overview. Where are you at with Will Levis? Where do we have him ranked, consensus TDN, and just your thoughts on him this season before we dive into the tape?
Yeah, this season obviously wasn't what you were hoping it would be if you were a buyer on the traits of Will Levis. And it's obvious that from a prototype and a build perspective, he checks a lot of boxes and he's got a lot of really exciting qualities about him. But I think he's more of a high variance player and projection now than what he was before the season when we were very interested and hopeful that the development was going to take care of itself. Well, lost a bunch of starters on the offensive line. He lost his top pass catcher in Wan'Dale Robinson. He lost his offensive coordinator in Liam Cohen, who went to the NFL, and it showed. And I think that's for Will, a player who's as athletic as he is, having negative 107 rushing yards on the year because they're including sack yardage in there, I think speaks a lot of volumes for just the ways he was used, what his strengths are, how they tried to have parallels to what they did with Liam Cohen when they had Scangarello this past year, but it really didn't connect. And it makes for this really layered evaluation for Will that I think makes him a pretty polarizing player for the masses. But I'm hoping we could paint a pretty nice picture here and kind of get into what he is, what he's not, and what he can be in the right situation.
And there it is. And right now, despite sort of the down season for Will Levis, you're starting to see more and more people in the draft community, Kyle, have him as their top projected quarterback. You see a lot of information. Scouts, they are, I don't want to say excusing away some of the mishaps this season, but there is context behind maybe some of the lack of development and lack of progression. And I'm sure we'll talk about that as we dive into the tape. So let's get into it. I'm excited for this one. Will Levis, 2023 quarterback prospect. Let's get it. So we are going to, if this is your first time watching one of our film sessions, we'll let the play run through. We'll go back. We'll rewind it. We'll stop it. But let's just play it through. Talk to us right here, Kyle.
Well, you talk about context and not being in positions to have success, and this was the first one that we grabbed, and we said, okay, we want to put some context on what Will Levis is playing with around him this year. And this was a no-brainer one for me to pull for Kentucky against this year's Florida contest. Kentucky won the football game, but they go with a fast three motion out of the backfield, and you can see Florida automatically has a coverage check here where the safety in the middle of the field open coverage to the field is going to roll down when they go fast three coverage. And Florida runs a fire zone blitz where they drop the defensive end to Will Levis's left. They bring the stack linebacker because they bump the linebackers with the motion and roll the safety down. And they bring a free runner, or they're hoping to bring a free runner from the right side. And just the offensive line play from a protection standpoint, you got to block four guys. And you give up a free runner off the edge here. If you full slide this, and they do full slide this, what this should become is a big duel from the right tackle, where if everybody's going to block left, can you go to the just like the still from the pre-snap on the back end angle? I think this paint a really nice picture for everybody. Yeah. Kind of see like the center steps left, right? Everybody on the offensive line is stepping left as well at the snap. You could see tackle thinks about it, but he recognizes pressure. That right guard, as he feels 21 go away, he should feel comfortable to pass this off to the center and come back to 51, who's firing from depth. And that would allow 77 to feel 79, like right here. Now, 77's too far gone at this point, but 79 thinks about it. And then watch what 79 does. Watch what he does. He turns back away from it. So now you've got an explosive defensive end off the edge who you've given a free run to when you're slanting the interior defensive lineman. I don't care if you're Will Levis, Bryce Young, Tom Brady, you're not going to have success with this kind of protection up front to block four guys.
Right.
And these are the kinds of things that when you watch Kentucky, it's week after week after week. And there's things that are Will Levis's fault. And there's things that Will Levis, and we're going to see some of them here on the study, needs to get a lot better at. But from a protection standpoint, these are just really bad rules of handling pressure and being able to feel and sense, okay, the nose tackle 21, who phenomenal player, dude's like 420. Love that about him.
Yeah.
But when he slants away to the center, hold the left hand out there, identify that we're firing 51 from depth, come back out here and give 77 a chance to squeeze to your defensive end. So it's just a lot of messy plays from a protection standpoint. And you could see Levis pays the price. They take his head off. Like literally they take his helmet off. And it's one of the traits about Will that I really love is his physical toughness, that he pops back up from a play like this. But he dealt with a bunch of like little nagging injuries this year. He missed a game. It's stuff that you can't continue to expose him to if you're moving forward.
You could see this edge rusher 12 almost sort of anticipate the blocker coming. Watch what he does. It looks like he's thinking, okay, I'm going to have to deal with 77. Oh, nope, no 77. Let's go get after the quarterback. I mean, it's just, again, we're not trying to excuse away some of the deficiencies or the areas of growth that Levis needs, but I don't care if it's Patrick Mahomes back there. If you allow a free rusher off the edge, I mean, this is what happens. That's scary right there.
And he doesn't feel that because that's not supposed to happen with the way the protection's called. They brought 4. He's not hot. He shouldn't be feeling that and looking to throw the ball underneath. So just little bits of context. Now, there's some really nice from this Florida game, too. This is a really good shot at, I think one of the big areas of growth for Will this year is some of the downfield passing for him.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, easy gas. Just watch the casualness of the delivery and where he throws this ball from. Obviously, the ball snapped at the 45. He's at the 37.
Yep.
And just the nice slingshot release. This thing gets down to the 2-3 yard line. Nice high point reception for his wide receiver. It was the biggest area for me from an accuracy perspective that I thought Will had to get better at this year. And I saw a lot more of these kinds of successful throws for him. It's a testament to his physical skills. He takes this drop straight down the hash, so he's not drifting, gets himself set up to throw, puts it out there. And it's a really nice throw and an understanding of a vertical concept where they run a post with a deep crosser, and the crosser gets cut by the free safety in the middle of the field. I believe this was quarter half coverage. And that opens up all that grass for him to run into, and Will just lays it out there and lets this guy make a play. It's a good execution. And
he put it in a position for his receiver to make the play, right? Like that's pretty damn good coverage right there by that Florida cornerback. Right. But you've got to put the ball in a position for your guy. Trust your guy to go make a play, and he does. It's a beautiful throw. Good job by the receiver, but I'm with you. The casualness of the throw, I don't even Kyle, I don't even think he really put his all into that. He just kind of saw it and flicked it, and it's the hand cannon, right? It's just easy for him to make those type of plays. A really good highlight of what he does well. We've got more Florida tape, though. Talk to us about this one. This is an interesting play. I saw this one as well and was curious as to what you would think about it, so I'm very excited that you put this one in here.
Yeah, so you see a lot of stemming in the pre-snap from the Florida DBs, where they kind of give you a zero look, and then they kind of rotate the middle of the field closed, and then they end up pushing to either cover 2 or Tampa 2, if you want to give the middle of the field defender credit for being that Tampa 2 defender or not. This, for me, is a blend of good and bad. It's a good throw, but it's bad process and a bad result.
Okay.
Because they run this either in or hook up top to the perimeter receiver, and Will never really gets off of it. If you pause right here, understand they're running dagger to the backside, to the field. So you have that middle of the field runner that's just inside the hash who is carrying vertically.
Right.
And then you have an in-breaking route by the field perimeter receiver that's at the 30-yard line right now that's behind it. If Will works through the progressions, and you can kind of see the 3 if you go all the way across the field, and I don't know exactly what the progression was coached up to be, but he's looking left and only left the entire time. So you've got yourself with an underneath defender, that linebacker that's on the 36-yard line, 37-yard line right now, just on the hash,
Yep.
who's going to occupy that throwing window that you either have to anticipate really early or you got to wait and let him clear and then throw it after, which is what he does. But if you have to do that extra work, like throw the in on the backside that's on the F right now, right?
Yep.
Like
Number 4.
Work through your progression. And that's one of the big sticking points with Will is getting stuck on progression. But he's committed to throwing this ball. Okay, it's bad process, but you're committed to throwing it. So what he does is he gives a little fake when he's at the top of the drop to kind of move that linebacker that's underneath. And then he puts this thing on a rope at the sticks. I believe this is 3rd and 11. You could see the ball fake's going to come at the top of the drop right there.
Yep.
Hook curl defender's going to push past it. And the receiver says, I'm going to go down to my knees and catch this football. And I'm 4 yards past the sticks. Bad results. But for the decision that was made, it was about as good of a throw as you could do. This receiver's just got to come back to the football and help his receiver out here when he's got this much room to work with.
Right.
So that was what popped up for me about this play is, hey, man, that's a howitzer of a throw. Hell of a throw. Way to manipulate that underneath defender to open that window for yourself. But at the same time, I'd love for you to get through that first progression because you could have either taken the vertical on the dagger concept that's going over top of the middle of the field defender against this Tampa type of look, or you can throw the in, which is an easy pitch and catch, and you can hit him in stride, and you got all that space to split the safeties.
I mean, if he throws that to the receiver towards that hash mark, not the one at the F, there's a good chance he houses that. But even if working through, and like you said, I don't know what the reads were, what his 1, 2, 3 are, but this receiver right here at the F that runs that in-breaking route, I mean, that's a 20-plus yard gain right there. You know what I mean? That's
they're both expecting the ball looking back because they know how much space is there.
I wonder what he saw here to just stay locked on. Like, it's short side of the field. There's not a lot of space to operate. You've got this. I'm curious as to what he saw because he was looking left the entire time, Kyle.
Yeah. So I think the feel definitely gets thrown off from the fact that they are stemming so much. So because if you go all the way back to when the clip first starts, like right here, they're kind of giving you a zero pressure look, right? So now he's kind of saying, okay, are we playing man? And then the safety's going to push back out, and it's going to go to like middle of the field open. And then the safety's going to walk in like, okay, now it's middle of the field close. They're going to run bail technique up at the top with the corner. And then they end up just playing cover 2 out of it. So I credit to Florida for changing the picture 3 times in the pre-snap. But I think right when he was getting the ball and he's in the gun, right? So you got to look, you're up and then you got to look down and catch the ball.
Right.
When his eyes come down to catch the ball, he sees that safety push in the middle of the field up like he's going to end up dropping. And I think that really played the game with him to expect, hey, I think I'm getting cover 3, so that hook or in should be there for me. But then he didn't confirm with his priors after the snap. And I think that's really what slowed him down and got him really hooked on that route.
Let's talk about some of the athleticism. Negative 107 yards rushing. You look at those raw numbers and you think, man, this guy cannot move. Now, granted, he took 14 more sacks this season than he did last year, and God knows how many more hits. But Will Levis, he is an athlete. He can run. He can utilize his legs as a weapon, and I think this is a great illustration of that versus Louisville. Talk to us.
This is the rivalry game from last year. So he gets you with a 2-piece combo here. He shakes out the first guy and goes Josh Allen over the second guy. So this was a really important one for me to know that I wanted to pull, knowing that we talked about negative 107 rushing yards, but from an athleticism standpoint and an athletic profile standpoint, this guy's phenomenal with what he's capable of doing. So when you hear people talk about the traits with Will Levis, just understand, like, the box score can tell you one thing, but this is what he's capable of doing. And they made a conscious decision to not do this with him this year. And as a result, he rushed the ball 25 less times, but got sacked, what, you say 17 more times in addition? So
14 more sacks this season. Yep.
So this was a guy at Penn State. James Franklin just wanted him to be the Wildcat quarterback type player. Yep. So that's the kind of caliber of an athlete that we're talking about with Will Levis. So just when you hear traits, we saw the bomb against Florida. We saw this run. There's some really likable stuff from a just pure skills perspective, and that's why people are going to keep instilling him into this top half of the first-round conversation.
Absolutely. And what do you think? Just give us a prediction. 40-yard dash time. What do you think he is?
I think he's probably a high 4.6 guy.
Okay. That's
say 4.68 to
that's
4.72, somewhere in that
that's
stratosphere would be my guess.
plenty fast enough. Plenty fast enough. And you're right. The tools and traits, you see the arm strength, you see the rushing mobility. Kyle, I wanted to throw this one in here. This was the big game versus Georgia. Everybody was excited for this one this season, sort of his big test versus a team that is, littered with future NFL talent. Jalen Carter's out there. You got Stokes, who's a talented true freshman safety, phenomenal. You got Keely Ringo. This is 3rd and 9, backed up, back in his own end zone. Kyle, you see him? And for me, when he is, I guess, in structure and he's 1, 2, 3, back foot on the ground, delivering the ball, I mean, he can make every throw. Right here, you'll see this back shoulder throw to the wide receiver, and that's Keely Ringo, a player who's probably going to be a first-round pick. Just in your opinion, talk to us about what you see here from Levis on this throw, the ball placement. That's a hell of a throw right there, Kyle.
Yeah, it's to the field too, which is what really, you're going to go back shoulder to the field outside the numbers like this. Really efficient with the footwork, with kind of the shuffle step. He kind of understands, I got to get the ball out quick. They play 2-man, end up taking your shot on the perimeter and put it high and outside. You literally can't coach that ball to be placed any better than where Levis puts that ball. And unfortunately, you didn't get a lot of that, but I love the fact, Ray, that you mentioned the in-structure stuff. And this is a guy between Scangarello and Liam Cohn had 2 NFL background offensive coordinators with Shanahan-style backgrounds as guys calling plays for him. And you see so many of the condensed formations for him and the rhythm stuff where the early progression's there and it looks as good as it can. This is a perfect example of that. And I think it's one of the reasons why when you compare and contrast his resume, people are going to say, well, he's received 2 years of NFL coaching. Now, it's not completed yet. But at the same time, the fact that experience of rhythm passing is not going to be new to him, I think really helps his cause.
Hey, Kyle, as we look at these next couple of clips, for me, I really noticed the footwork. And I'm looking at his footwork here. Looks really good, kind of bouncy, kind of on his toes, but the footwork is good. Back foot in the ground, accurate throw. You see right here, we showed the bomb versus Florida. This is last year versus Missouri. Takes the deep drop, he sets up, and you talk about just a flick of the wrist. I don't know, he launches this from what is that, about the 37-yard line, 36 and a half. And, I mean, this is in stride. And you look at the coverage at the start of this play, I don't know what they were running because there's only 2 receivers that go in motion. You got the safety drop down. I don't know if this is a cover 3 and this safety overplayed it to the receiver at the top, but only 2 wideouts go out for a route. Levis identifies it and puts this on the money to Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, you can't throw this ball any better than what he does out of the play action, under center. We've seen him in gun. Boom, there he is. Identifies it, sets it up. And I mean, this is, I saw Tua last weekend hit Tyreek Hill on a 52-yarder where you've got to anticipate, it's down the field. Talk to me about what you see right here from Levis.
What I love about this, and you can't get away with this if you're every quarterback that's out there, but the fact that we go back to the defense, play action with a boot away from the post. The fact that he boots to his right to throw deep left, that's no task, right? And you talk about the flick of the wrist and the hand cannon, and that's what this is. The fact that you can lay this ball out in front of a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson who's down the field, and you get to the top of your drop, you take your big hitch, and boom, the ball is out. And this is the credit to running a lot of these condensed formations that we've talked about with kind of the Shanahan's type background of their 2 offensive coordinators, and that it really kind of creates these muddy messes for defenses, and you get all this extra spacing, especially if you're able to get vertical stretch. You got all that extra room to just lay the ball out and let your guy go out and run underneath of it. So the fact that Will can boot right, set up, hitch, throw post left, that I think is my biggest takeaway from that play. But like you said, it's capable of being so easy for him. The challenge is making it easy consistently for Will.
Let's talk about consistency, because the same sort of play action right here under center. I mean, this is a play, Kyle, you got to have this, right? I mean, at this point, this receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson, running this I don't know if this is a deep dig, deep cross across the field. I mean, this is as open as it gets. And what you're going to see is, I don't know why Will was, it looks like he felt rushed here, but the feet are awful, right? There he is. You watch his feet. He's jumping around. He's falling backwards.
Mhm.
And because of that, I mean, you got to complete that pass. He overthrows him. He gets the receiver crushed. Now, the ball still hits his hands. The ball still hits the receiver in his hands. But this should have been a lot easier of a throw than what it was. And I'm just curious as to why. These are the things that I want to see from him more consistently, because this is about as open as it gets. You've got to make this play. This has got to be an easy completion, and instead it's an incomplete pass, and he gets the receiver smashed right here. Now, I think they were bailed out helmet-to-helmet hit, but talk to us about that one right here.
Yeah, so I think this one is a matter of he kind of feels that pressure off the edge, and I think it really breaks his base down. Is what it looks like with kind of that stutter step where he's set up to throw, and then his left foot kind of extends like he's almost throwing the post to the right side, and then he comes back left. It's one thing with Will is if you can get color and flash across his face, he will look to extend plays and he will look to get outside the pocket. And I think he's still trying to find the right balance of how to do that. And I think that in this play, you talk about the base breaking down in the way that it did, where he oversets and then he's kind of try to reset, but his back foot's already in the ground. So it kind of creates this variance with what your mechanics are, and you kind of lock your lower half in place when you're throwing out into space like that. I think that really fed into this kind of play. But just when I think about the trends of Will, seeing that defensive end who is upfield a little bit and locked with his tackle, I'm wondering if he felt that, and that's what allowed that base to break down. But I agree with you completely. That was what ultimately led to this throw being in a place where you really want this one back.
Yeah, this is one where he saw it and said, like you just said, I want this one back. But same game, right? A little bit later in the game. And I wanted to make sure this is 3rd and 12, right? So we saw him, the hand cannon down the field. We saw his base break down. He got a little nervous. Whatever happened, the feet weren't right. Overthrows Robinson. What do you do later in the game? Well, here he is in the gun, right? He's got 5 wide, drops back, feet are good, comes off that read, and this is just a dot. I mean, this is... I look at this, Kyle. I'm not looking at coverage. I'm just looking at what he does on this throw, and it's not quite the hash. But look at the feet are good. There's traffic around them. I mean, both edge rushers have generated pressure on both the right and left tackle, but he hangs in that pocket, an anticipatory throw. I mean, good grief. It doesn't get much better than that right there, Kyle.
So you get a 3rd and long look. You get pressed up. It's press one man.
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he starts looking down the right sideline here and holds the safety too.
Correct.
So he takes a snap. His eyes are right. Back top of the drop. Bang. Open to the left. I'm throwing the slot fade, undefeated route in college football. Go argue with your cat. I don't want to hear it. Love slot fade. They convert slot fade. You get a vertical stack from the slot, and you've got all that space outside between where the rail that the slot is running on his fade route into the boundary. Moving his eyes in rhythm throw. You could see the slot fades. It drops in that space over his outside shoulder for him to fall into, and it's just a perfect throw. And the fact that he held the safety in the process is the cherry on top. So you see these glimpses of it, right? And general managers and coaches, they're going to see the physical tools. You're going to see reps like this, and they're going to say, I can make him do that every play. I promise you, every quarterback's coach, every OC, every head coach with an offensive background has the confidence in themselves to say, I can get him to do that every time. Whether or not they actually do or not, well, that's a different story. But that's why the narrative with Will is where it is, because this is a phenomenal rep, and this is his 2021 stuff.
That's correct.
So I think the 2021 tape was definitely better than the 2022 tape. And as I said, I come out of this season for him, and I think he is more of a high variance projection as far as what his range of outcomes can be. But if you put this guy in the right situation and you have the right supporting cast around him and you play him at the right time and you don't put him out there prematurely because you're just trying to get your rookie quarterback on the field, there's no doubt in my mind he can be a plus starting quarterback in the NFL. It's just a matter of putting all the pieces together and letting him continue to mature and develop, because I see enough of the instinctual component of the game that I think he can get there.
I love it. This was a phenomenal sort of overview of Levis and giving some context behind some of the struggles in 2022 while looking at some of the progressions that he made. He's such an unfinished product, but when you see some of the plays that he can make with both his arm and his legs, this is tools and traits 101 right here with Will Levis. And, I've been very vocal about my thoughts about Anthony Richardson potentially being, looking down the line 2 or 3 years, being the best quarterback in this class. Those same sentiments, in my opinion, apply for Will Levis, and the talent, the tools, the traits, and hopefully the coaching staff that gets him, nurtures him, and develops him into a potential, I think, like you said, a plus starting quarterback in the NFL. I'm excited for him, excited to watch him mature through this draft process. And we're already seeing some scouts say they don't care about anything from the 2022 tape. They've seen enough from Will Levis to be deserving of a top pick in the NFL draft. So, Kyle, I appreciate you jumping on. These are always entertaining. If you're watching this and it's your first time over here on the YouTube channel, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment below. Let us know what you're thinking about Will Levis, about this 2023 quarterback class in general. And if you want more access to Kyle, the entire TDN scouting team, and the entire TDN team in general, make sure you click the link in the description to join the premium Discord service. I'm telling you, the film sessions, the depth in which Kyle and crew break these players down, the engagement, discourse, positive or negative, around players and the engagement that we have, it's more than worth it. If you're a fan of fantasy football or just the NFL in general, our premium Discord service is for you. Link in the description below. More film sessions to come soon. Make sure you're following Kyle on Twitter at Grinding the Tape, because that's what my man does. Stay tapped in. All those people out there pumping up Will Levis, and just know you heard it here first. We are high on Will Levis at the Draft Network. So for Ray Garvin, Kyle Krabs, we're out. Until next time. Peace.